There's a mountain in Northern California that doesn't behave like other mountains. People who've never set foot near it will tell you they've felt it from 100 miles away. People who have set foot on it rarely come back down the same person who went up. I'm one of those people. This is what happened to me on Mount Shasta. Both times. All true. Part 1. The sound. I went up there the way a lot of people do, looking for something without being entirely sure what. I camped for 3 days at Panther Meadows, high on the mountain slope, drinking the water straight from the spring. That water has a reputation. People travel a long way just to drink it. I drank it for 3 straight days, waiting for whatever was supposed to happen. Nothing happened. No visions, no voices, no shift in the air. Just 3 quiet days of pine and granite and cold mountain water, and by the third night I remember thinking maybe the mountain simply wasn't interested in me. On the fourth morning, early at 6 a.m., that gray hour before the sun really commits to the day, I packed up and started walking down. Off the mountain back toward town. I wasn't looking for anything anymore. I was just walking. And then it started. The mountain was off to my right, and out of it came a sound. Not a sound like weather, not a sound like an animal, not a sound I had a category for. It grew, steadily, deliberately, like something turning up a dial that had no top setting. I had to cover my ears. It kept growing anyway. The vibration wasn't just in the air, it was in my chest, in my teeth, in the actual architecture of my body. And then it did something I still don't have better words for. It split me in half, spiritually, not physically. I was standing the whole time. Nothing about my body moved. But something at the very center of me came apart, cleanly, for what felt like at least 2 full minutes. And then, just as deliberately as it had pulled me apart, it put me back together. When it stopped, I felt better than I had in years. Not calm the way you feel calm after a good night's sleep. Better in a way that felt structural, like something had been recalibrated. I stood there on that trail at 6 in the morning, and I understood, for the first time, why so many people talk about Mount Shasta the way they do. The stories aren't exaggeration. I'm telling you directly. They should be taken seriously. Part 2. The King and the Book. The second thing happened on a different visit, same mountain, same meadow. I was lying in the boulder field at Panther Meadows, just looking up, the way you do when a sky is doing something worth watching. The clouds were doing something worth watching. Above me they had formed, with a precision that stopped my breath, into the unmistakable shape of a king standing behind a lectern, and beside him another figure, handing him a book. I want to be clear about what I mean by precision. This wasn't the kind of cloud shape you talk yourself into seeing, the way you might convince yourself a cloud looks a little bit like a rabbit. This was exact. A robed figure, a lectern, a second figure extending a book toward him with both hands. I lay there completely dumbfounded, watching it hold its shape. To this day, I don't know for certain what that book was. Maybe it was the Book of Life. I have my suspicions, and here's why. Back in 1989, I gave away a novel I'd spent 10 years of my life writing. I released it out into the earliest days of the internet, free for anyone, a book called The Ross Factor, also known as Moby and Ahab on a Plutonium Sea. 10 years of work, given away completely before anyone even knew what the internet would become. So when I saw that king receiving a book from the sky above that mountain, I couldn't help but wonder. Maybe that book was mine. Maybe the mountain knew me the same way I'd come to know it. Some places don't just witness your life, they participate in it. Part 3. What the sound actually did. Here's what I've come to understand since that morning on the trail. What happened to me wasn't random. There's real science now behind why that kind of deep, resonant sound and vibration can shift a person's internal state so completely, so fast. It has to do with your brain's gamma waves, the fastest, most active brainwave frequency your brain produces. Gamma activity is associated with heightened focus, a sense of expanded awareness, and the kind of deep, unified mental state that meditators spend decades training to reach. Some of the most experienced meditators in the world, monks who've spent tens of thousands of hours in practice, show gamma wave activity far beyond the average person's baseline. I didn't have decades of practice. I had one sound on one mountain at 6 in the morning, but the effect felt exactly like what people describe when that gamma state opens up: clarity, expansion, a feeling of being put back together with something extra added in. That's part of why I want to tell you about something I've been using and genuinely recommend. It's called the Brain Song. It's an audio track built specifically around gamma wave frequencies, designed to help guide your brain toward that same kind of expanded, focused state that traditionally took years of dedicated meditation to access. You put it on, you let it play, and you give your mind the chance to settle into that gamma range on its own. I'm not a doctor, and this isn't medicine. I'm not telling you it will split you in half on a mountainside. What I can tell you is that gamma wave states are linked with sharper focus, a greater sense of calm clarity, and the kind of expanded awareness that people spend a long time chasing through meditation retreats and mountain pilgrimages. The Brain Song is a simple, accessible way to invite that state into an ordinary afternoon, no mountain required. I'll leave the link right here, bit.ly/49M4YE6 closing. Two experiences, one mountain, a sound that split me open and put me back together, and a sky that seemed to know exactly what I'd given away 10 years earlier. I don't have all the answers about what Mount Shasta is or why it does what it does to the people who climb it, but I know what happened to me was real, and I know it changed how I understand the space between the physical world and whatever's underneath it. If you've had an experience like mine on that mountain or anywhere else, I want to hear about it. Tell me in the comments. And if you're looking for your own way into that same kind of expanded, clear-headed state without waiting for a mountain to call you, check out the Brain Song. Link is right there. Watch the skies, listen to the mountain, and never stop asking questions.